Hello, everybody. This is DJ Silene, also known as Miss Corn. And today I'm so excited because we're going to be talking about Bitmoji Classrooms. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a big fad going on here in the United States. Teachers are creating Bitmoji Classrooms. They've been doing this throughout their whole summer. They are like spending their vacation time getting ready for coming back to school in August. Some schools are starting already in August and they're getting ready. And with me today, I have somebody really special. I'm going to be talking to Lauren Vinning, and she has created a lot of Bitmoji classrooms. She's also right now living in Brazil, which throws the extra special thing for me. And we're going to get to know her better and learn about her classrooms. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to share.
Sure. Well, I'm so excited because I've seen some of your classrooms and they're really amazing. But before we get to it, can you tell us a little bit more about you and what brought you to Brazil?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been here in Brazil for about 3 years now. And really, I came here as a tourist. I stayed for a week during my school spring break, and I just completely fell in love with it. So I went home, quit my job, sold everything, and moved to Brazil. And I didn't really have a plan when I got here. Before I came, I was teaching elementary school special education for a couple years in Kentucky. That's where I'm originally from. And once I came to Brazil, the stars just kind of aligned, and I got a job teaching at an international school here. I spent a year teaching English as a second language, and then a year in a special education program, setting up a program at the school. And now this is my second year actually teaching virtually online with an American public school from Indiana, and I teach ninth grade special education. So, yeah, the high school was a new challenge for me last year. I wasn't really used to that age group, but I learned a lot about high schoolers. I learned a lot about virtual teaching, which was really perfect timing given the whole situation we find ourselves in now. I feel like I'm in a place where I can share what I learned with other teachers.
That is so great. And I understand you live in Rio, right?
I do. I primarily spend my time here in Rio. I travel quite a bit back home to Kentucky for different things, but with the situation, I haven't been able to travel. So, but
Yeah.
Rio, really a better place to be stuck. I mean, it's beautiful. So,
Exactly. And yes, I've been stuck because usually I go to Brazil, but this year, because of the situation, I'm stuck here in Los Angeles and I can't get to Brazil. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share your screen so we can take a look at some of the Bitmoji classrooms.
all right.
And while you're gearing up to this, let's tell the folks like what is this Bitmoji and what is used for. Um, so can you speak a little more about that? Like how you're using, what is it? What is it?
Yeah. So for me personally, I'm using it as primarily an engagement tool. Last year, teaching virtually, of course, you use a lot of presentations, a lot of PowerPoints, um, but I found them to be a little dry. I mean, you can only dress up a PowerPoint so much. And when I came across the virtual Bitmoji classrooms, my mind was blown because, I mean, it's an actual classroom virtually, and you can create it to be whatever you want it to be. You're not barred by money constraints. You're not barred by circumstances. You can have it be anything you want for your students, and it can fluctuate. So one day you might be teaching in a Harry Potter room, and then the next day you're teaching under a palm tree at the beach. So it's just fun, and I think it gets kids excited to come to class and to see what you've got. And really, the only limit to it is your own creativity. So I will be using them when students come in. It'll be the first thing that they see on the board. We use a platform called Blackboard, but I know a lot of people are using Zoom and things like that. And you can screen share in those programs, and you can have it open and, you know, or set it as the image so students see it. And I think it just helps them to feel more welcome. Of course, you can take it, you know, further and include links in your classroom and have it be a place for navigation, have it be a place where they can explore different things. But just primarily it comes back to getting the kids engaged with it.
Yes, and I recently, when I learned about it, I made a virtual library and I posted on my site a tutorial of how to get started with making a Bitmoji classroom. So if anybody's interested, I'll put the link, on the corner. Anyway, so let's take a look at some of your creations.
All right, so I started out with the around the world theme classrooms. Those were my first classrooms that I started creating. So that's what I have a lot of right now. I'll show you one of them, of course, near and dear to my heart, Brazil.
Oh, yay!
And so the ones I created, I have links in one of them, and then the other one is link free. So that's the beauty of the classrooms, is that if teachers are sharing them, you can really edit them and change them to your liking, add things in, take things out that you don't think you need, and have it be like that. So this is Brazil. And so what I have in this room, I think I forget the exact number, but I think there's 20 or more different links that students can explore the country. So that's kind of what I'm doing with my around the world themed classrooms, is trying to bring the world to the classroom and letting students explore in a fun type of way. It looks like it hasn't loaded quite all the way, but basically they just click on the different objects around the room and it takes them to something where they can learn a little bit more. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this. You can have it be just primarily an engagement type of thing and just have it up to, you know, kind of create an atmosphere of, you know, like a global culture type of thing. You can send it out and have it be something fun. If you're doing something related to Brazil or any country, then I'm hoping teachers can use it as a supplementary tool.
Can you tell us? I'm sorry. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, when they click on the different objects, where they would be, what they would be seeing, or to give us more of an idea?
Sure. So right now the objects are linked to YouTube videos, which it's really easy. You know, you can replace these with safe YouTube video links if you don't want your students on YouTube. But there's some key things I try to include in all of my around the world classrooms. I usually always have a map that links to, like, this is a great website for anyone who wants to bring that global component. It's called 360cities.net, and it's 3D images that students can explore of a country or a city or, you know, any attraction around the world that you want to take students to.
Should we go there and take a look a little bit on one of those, just so we see what it's?
Sure. So these are actually panorama images that travelers have submitted. So there's a collection, depending on where you're at, there's a lot of different images that people have shared. So it's taking just a second to load, but you'll see, if I can move my mouse out of the way, all of these small images pop up. And if you were to click them, it'll take you to kind of explore that area further. So let's just go down.
Where are we going? Are we going to São Paulo, my hometown, or are we going to Rio?
You know what? Let's go to São Paulo. I haven't been to São Paulo myself.
All
so
right, let's take a trip to São Paulo.
So this, it says, is the Sambadrome in São Paulo. So once it opens, we will see almost as if we were there, and you can actually just hold down, click, and move, and it's a 360 panoramic view of what it would be like if you were in this place. So it's
That
like
is great.
a snapshot in time. So, and these are, it's like this all over the world. So depending on where you go, you get kind of like a different snapshot in time. Um,
And I
it's
think I
really,
was
really
there once. I did
fun.
see a carnival parade like that once. So that's good.
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is fun to explore, really. It's just students can kind of get lost in just kind of going through the different images, looking around. So this is something I try to add to all of my classrooms. Um, Another thing, let's see, there are some videos that I try to keep consistent, some channels for teaching about the countries. I think the consistency is nice for students to see kind of the same face. This is one of the hosts of the videos that teaches about the country, gives some good facts. I usually try to have a book, at least one, usually more, of a text that you could use that's focused around this part of the world. So this one is the Great Kapok Tree, and if you click on it, it'll take you to the read aloud, so students can listen to it. And then I usually try to include an additional video to bring awareness to a certain issue in the country. So in this case, it's deforestation, because that's a widespread issue in the Amazon. So that's something I want my students to know. For me, it's really important to teach not just global themes and culture, but also issues. I want my students to be equipped with what's going on in the world so that they can go out and fix the problems, because it'll be up to them. So that's something I try to include as well. I usually always try to have some type of a sport, entertainment type of thing in the country. So in this case, it's Carnival. There's a video, soccer. And then I like to include a food tour, like a street food tour. Those are so
Mm,
fun. It's kind of funny because most of them are like 20 minutes long, and of course you might not sit and watch the whole thing, but it is so intriguing to to follow somebody as they go through a city and see the different foods that are popular. And not just that, but it's almost as if you're walking through the city and getting another look at it that way. So it's cool. um, I try to include something that has like something students could do on their own, like a step by step, make some kind of special treat from the country. I usually try to include a language component, and one other thing. Oh, here's the recipe, brigadeiros. And I try to include, I think it's in one of these pictures, a walking tour of the city. It's normally between 5 and 10 minutes long, and basically it's exactly that. It's a camera, somebody just walking through the city. So you see everything, you hear the sounds, you hear the language around you. It's really cool. I've started a blog post with some ideas for how to use the walking tour in the classroom to make it, relevant to standards and content. So I'm excited to share that soon. But there's so much potential. So those are just a few of the constants with these classrooms that I try to always incorporate.
that is so neat. So, what countries do you have? Give us an idea of which ones you've.
So far we've got two, three, I think 12 total.
Oh, wow.
So far got I've got two others in the works, and then somebody gave a great suggestion today, so I feel like jumping jumping the line with that one. So my goal is to have, it would be nice to have it to where, you could use two per month or even one per week, which is a substantial amount. But that's what I'm working towards, trying to make a nice solid collection all around the world.
Oh, wow. So, tell us some of the countries. It's a little hard for me to read all the
Yeah,
words right
so
now.
we've got Brazil,
Mhm.
China, France, Greece, India, Japan, Kenya, Morocco, Peru, Spain, and Tunisia. I started out creating them based on places that I had traveled because I felt like I knew them the best. And then other teachers were like, can you do this one? I've got students from this country, or this is part of my curriculum. And so it just kind of grew from there. So I have quite a list of ones I want to get done.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's excellent. That's really neat.
I'm excited about it. And something I created, if I can go into that, to kind of go with these rooms are what I call explore rooms. So for every country, I create an explore room to go with it, just to take it one step further and to get into more of, I guess, content for the country, or material, I guess you could say. So it's going to take just a second to load. But this is an example of the Morocco Explore Room. And in this room, there's a video link. There are 3 text article links and 3 podcast audio links. So I did it this way to differentiate the content for the students. I thought I could give them this and let them choose which method they want to learn, more about the country through. And then there's some supplementary, like, graphic organizers and things that they could fill out to go with whichever article or story they chose. And I forgot to note, the video link is actually subtitled. So most of the video is in the language of the country, and they have to read it. So the goal with all of this, when I created it, was comprehension, practicing comprehension skills. Because that's a lot of what I do with my students. I teach special ed, and so we do a lot of small groups, and reading comprehension is a big thing. So I'm hoping this will be my first time trying all of this out this year, but I'm hoping this will engage them to practice those skills in a way that they want to learn more about these topics and ideas.
Yes, I think it's excellent because engaging students online is totally different than engaging them in person, as we quickly found out as we started this. So it's really important to find a way that they want to come back to classes. Sometimes attendance is a problem in the online world that we're teaching right now. So it's really important to engage them. And I can see this is so exciting. Was wondering if we could see this on the like a full screen, perhaps, Lauren, if you don't mind, like
Yeah,
we could
yeah.
present view, so just so we can see a little more, because it has so much detail on this room. And oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is Morocco, the different links I said. And I forgot, I also included this little journal down here. If you want to include a follow-up activity, whether it's questions that you want students to answer about what they read, or if you want to include a link to any of the graphic organizers that I made to go with it, then it's a fun place that students would click and go to that. So a little extra tidbit.
Possible for you to click and us take a peek of what it looks like, or is it too?
Right now, the way it's set up, I don't have it linked to any of
Okay.
the graphic, but I can show you the graphic organizers if you'd like.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. This is fabulous.
So these are the graphic organizers. Let me see if I can make them bigger. And they can be used with pretty much any article, story that you want. I know that the 5 W's and H, this is something that my students were tasked with doing a lot last year. And then there's just some different ones where they can compare articles, they can make notes. I mean, the goal as they're either watching or reading or listening is active learning and active engagement with it. So hopefully, they can be jotting down or typing things, I guess, as they're listening or reading, and just to reinforce whatever it is that they are learning about. So I think I have a collection here of 10. And like I said, they pretty much go with any article that you would choose. So hopefully,
And I'm sorry. Hopefully.
hopefully I can add more to it. That's the goal, is just to keep adding to the resources.
And Lauren, I'm curious because I'm not very computer savvy. So once the students fill up this information, how would they get it to you? Or
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. It really just depends on the format that you're using, the platform that you're using. Our school, we have a platform that you just it links straight to the Google slide and you can assign it. I know Google Classrooms is the same way. A lot of teachers are using Google Classrooms, so you could, put what you want students to do in a slide document and assign it to them. And then once they finish, they can submit it back to you and you can review it that way.
excellent. It, very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah. So I have a few more if you wanted to see some of
Yes,
the other.
please. I'm loving this so much.
So I have, I'm a Harry Potter fan, a really big Harry Potter fan, and I wanted to incorporate that into my classroom in a way. Of course, ninth graders don't study Harry Potter. It's not the most, relevant thing, I guess, to what they're doing. So one thing I decided to do with the theme was to pull out the social issues that are embedded in the Harry Potter stories and kind of, again, teach, that component. It's a big passion of mine, 21st century issues and things. But tie it in with a story that a lot of students love. Um, a lot of students adore these. So let me,
Yeah, don't forget to put it on the big
yeah, yeah.
presentation because then we can see all the details because this is so fascinating. Oh, wow.
So this is an example of one. The Harry Potter rooms are still in the works, but this is the first one that I was able to finish. I'm calling it the Free Dobby Room, and it's all kind of about house elves. That's the idea, but some of the components that I'm trying to teach. I try to pick out three main ideas to kind of focus on. So protest, modern slavery, and activism. And all of these ideas are embedded in the story. At the top here, I kind of say, how it relates to the story. So for example, activism in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry, Hermione, and Ron initiate a secret student organization called Dumbledore's Army in order to promote education of proper defense against the dark arts coursework. So that's a way that they showed activism in the story. So for this particular slide, students would click on this link here, and it would take them to a video about activism. They would watch it, learn about it, and then they could go back. Let's see if I can make it big again. And then they would go back and answer the questions to kind of get them thinking about this topic. So 3 vocab words I try to pull out to teach about. I also try to include an excerpt from the story and then include some comprehension and just writing response type questions. My school does a lot of CRQs, constructed response questions, where students have to restate a question, answer the question, cite examples from the text, explain those examples. It's something that we focus really heavily on in my school to improve those writing skills. So that's something I try to incorporate. It's a pretty simple text. It's not the level, it's not a high level where it's hard to understand, but just getting them to practice answering questions and going back and pulling evidence using a text that a lot of them are familiar with already. I try to tie it into something like a famous person or something that, a leader, I guess. So I was able to connect Gandhi to Harry Potter. That's what I did on this page. And I don't know if you or any of your followers are familiar with the, let me go, if I can click on it. Well, I don't think it's going to let me click on it. Google Earth. And all of the different projects and tours and things that you can do in Google Earth. This is something I also include in my Around the World classrooms. I forgot to point that one out. I am obsessed with Google Earth. You can do so much. There's so much amazing content here that you can use in your classroom, virtual or not. This particular one is the Salt March to Dandi, so it's the march that Gandhi took. If you follow this tour, you get to actually follow his march and read about it. So you could incorporate a lot with this to kind of take that further, but it's an added component that I think is really engaging.
Wow. That is really neat. You know, telling me about a lot of things that I wasn't thinking about. I teach ETK. I have little, tiny ones, but I can see, you know, how to apply a lot of this, you know, to my age group. And I'm happy that you are talking more about, you know, older students, because in the past I talked more about, you know, the younger ones. So this is great, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, there's
Very,
there's a lot.
fascinating.
There's a lot to explore on this. And you say you teach the little ones. One of my favorite things that I'm not able to use, but I just want to share it with somebody, they have
Yes.
Sesame Street around the world. So
Oh,
they have the different Sesame Street characters in different countries, Brazil, Afghanistan, all around the world. And they can kind of see a clip of the Sesame Street character. It's just super cool. And it's a way to work in, you know, geography and studying the world with little ones too. So
well, thank you for sharing that. That have to check that out. That sounds really neat.
Yeah.
Wow. And I also I'm not I'm not sure if you're done with this part of the presentation, but I don't want to forget that one of the things that I saw of your work that was the first thing that drew me to contact you was your locker room for the all about me, you know, because since the year is starting, teachers are getting kind of, you know, anxious, like, oh, I don't know my students. And it's different when you meet them online and you meet them in person. So there is a little bit of this anxiety going on, as far as at least I am very anxious. And
Yeah.
so that was the interesting idea that you have, but, you know, don't skip anything. You know, I just don't want to forget that.
No, yeah, let's go to that. So that's one of the, actually not the student goodies. I lost it. Oh, here it is. Student services. So I'm trying to add to this collection. Like you said, it's really important to get to know students, but more difficult now in this current situation if you're not face to face with them, especially. So this doesn't have my Bitmoji. This isn't my finished version, but this is the virtual locker. And these are some things that you could choose to include or ask students to include to share more about themselves. So I created this as a getting to know you activity for one, to get to know my students better. I was tired of the regular old ways of, you know, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite book, the, you know, the boring kind of ways. Most of the time they've already done that. You know, if they've had classes before you, they've already gone through all of that, so they're not so into it. But this way kind of gives them a chance to flex their creativity a little bit, to share about themselves. And it gives you a little bit of insight if you're doing this with an older group to see what kind of skills they have on a computer. I'm actually planning to make a screencastify or some type of a video to model how to search for items and then put them in the locker, because that's a question a lot of teachers have asked. Personally, I was planning to model it for my students. So, like if I want to put a Harry Potter book in my locker, I was going to walk them through how to search that on Google, how to try and find an image. Like if you put PNG on the end, you're likely to find an image that doesn't have a background, or, you know, different things like that that could help them. But I want to make a video so that other teachers can use that as well in their classrooms. The other reason I really loved this idea is because virtually students don't tend to have lockers. My kids they don't have lockers. They don't get that experience. And I can remember when I was in high school, decorating my locker was the highlight. I mean, it was the most exciting thing about starting the year.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I
Yeah,
wanted to give that to the students. And again, they're not barred by, how much money they have. Maybe they can't in real life afford to get all of the fancy accessories and locker shelves and bling mirrors and all of that. But on their virtual locker, they can do anything they want to show who they are.
that is really great. And is there a chance you can show us the one you made for yourself? You had one with your Bitmoji and you had a Brazilian flag, which totally caught my attention. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I must meet Lauren. That was like, okay, now I really have to meet her.
Okay, I think it's in one of these folders. I thought it was in the one I had open.
Do you want me to bring the screen down while you look for it, or you're okay?
Here it is. Let's see if it's here.
Yeah, just let me know anytime you want me to bring the screen down. So if you're going into some personal information as we're going along.
Oh, now it's going to take a second.
Yeah, it's okay. But that is a really great idea. I love that. And that's something that, unfortunately for me, with my little tiny ones, some of these things are, I mean, it still can be done with the parents, asking the parents to do it for them and put their items. And I might try that.
Yeah, and I thought about like an alternate version for the younger group. I
Let me
tried.
know if you get to it, because usually what I used to do was the All About Me poster that I would get at a store name, called Lakeshore or something like that, and then the kids
Yeah,
would draw, and then I would call them to tell about themselves, which was a great lesson for them to learn to speak. I have a lot of students that are learning to speak English, even though they live here in the United States. They come from families that are speaking other languages at home, and sometimes, my classroom is the first time they're speaking English. So, like talking about themselves helps create something that is interesting for them, because kids love to talk about themselves and things that have a meaning for them. And the All About Me poster was a way that was at the beginning of the year letting me get to know them, and also an opportunity for them to speak and practice their listening and speaking skills and all that. So your locker is very interesting, even though for my students, of course, they're very little. Lockers are, a little
here's the
above,
cubby.
but cubby,
Here's
yes.
a virtual cubby. And my idea with it was to pre-select objects and kind of put them in a collection, and students would just drag and drop the things that they liked, or maybe like build a family, like have stick figure people, and they could build their family, different things like that. So it's an idea I just haven't fully carried it out yet.
Wow, that is terrific. Oh my gosh, if you ever come about, completing this idea, I would love to find a way to have a copy or something like that, because it's really amazing.
For sure, I'll work on that. Here.
Oh, thank you. Because that would be fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good way for students that young to practice some computer skills too. Just the simple act of clicking the button, dragging and dropping, that's a tough skill
It is. It is.
for little kids to have. So it's something they need to practice.
Mm-hmm. They do learn really quickly, because I used to take my students to the computer lab and they had no skills at all. And, one lesson and they were all really pros. The young kids, they're really a lot easier for them, to learn computer skills than, than it is for
That's
me.
true.
Let's put it that way.
They catch on really fast.
Yeah. So
Well, I have the locker pulled up, but I'm thinking it's having some trouble connecting. So go figure.
that's just like teaching. You know what I mean? Like you're all prepared, and then things start happening. And
Yes, and virtual teaching, this is a regular technology throwing fits. This is a normal thing.
exactly, through a whole new set of new, like, things that you're not
Circumstances.
expecting.
Yeah.
Yes. And anything, I'm really very impressed. Like, how long do you think it takes to create a Bitmoji classroom like that?
So the Bitmoji classrooms usually take me a couple days. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I really I try to look for just the right thing to express what I want to express and to put in there and have what I want together.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have to take that long. I definitely wouldn't want that to deter anybody from making their own.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many resources out there that teachers have shared that people can put a Bitmoji classroom together, no problem.
That's
So
true. And by the way, if anybody else that's watching this would like to come and show their Bitmoji classroom, please send me a little note over there on the comments, of this video, or find me on Instagram on DJ Silene and send me a message. And I'll love to see other classrooms, and because we always get ideas, just like in real life, we used to walk into each other's classroom and say, "Oh, I love how you put that bulletin board. I'm gonna steal the idea." So they say that the teachers are, stealers, and we always steal great ideas. And the more we see things, the more our brains start, like, coming up with more ideas. So there is your
there's my
locker
locker.
idea. Can you make it big for us, Lauren?
Yeah,
So
let's try.
full screen. If you put on the
Hopefully,
present mode, I guess.
hopefully it will load.
Oh.
It's not being friendly.
Oh. But that was really sweet. You had a lot of interesting things in the locker, and it can lend to a writing for students that are perhaps in elementary school. If they create their locker or cubby, they can also write about what they have and why it's meaningful for them, that item in their cubbies. So it is a great prompt or writing started to get them going into writing. Because I notice, I don't know if you notice the same thing, kids, they have a really hard time writing, or they don't have the stamina or inspiration to really write. So it's good to create some situations that would um, prompt them for some
Prompt them
writing.
to.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And that was one of the components that I wanted to still incorporate. My plan was to give students the chance, or the choice rather, to either present their locker with the rest of the group. And so to do that in a program like Zoom, they would
Mm-hmm.
just screen share. So, and that would give them the chance to get on the mic and kind of just tell about who they are, so other students and yourself can hear. But if they're not comfortable with that, which I have a lot of students who are not comfortable getting on video, they're not comfortable getting on a mic and talking in front of other students. And in my role, at least, I don't want to push them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to build up to their comfort. So I also included the option for them to do a writing where they would explain the room and I would see it. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's important. You have to see, kids' comfort levels, just like we used to do it in person, and making sure that, and again, the online created this whole new, scenario where kids might not be, willing or as comfortable to talk. Um, I mean, some were already having a hard time talking in person, but in camera, it creates a whole new scenario for them too. Well, let's see. I was trying to put your Bitmoji, and for some reason now my screen is not letting me add.
technology
Aww.
again.
Again. Yeah.
love it.
All right. Now your devices came off the. I mean, you perhaps have to start sharing it again because I don't have your devices on my thing. Yeah.
Let's try
But
it.
yes, yeah.
Reboot. Because I did have, I had 2 other themed classrooms
Oh, I'll
that
have to see it.
I recently completed. One of them is a collection of learning style classrooms. So that's something at my school we've been asked to do some type of an assessment to get a better idea of how students prefer to learn. Nothing that's the end all be all for learning, but just a kind of a fun way to get to know your students and what their preferences are.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be ready to go. I can show you that.
All right. Woohoo. Right now it's saying device is not connected, so I don't know.
Still not wanting to do it.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm seeing something, but it's like a blank screen so far. It's loading.
Let's see if I can get it open.
Oh. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Well, I don't think, let's see.
I mean, I'm seeing your screen in the Google Drive.
Yeah, it won't, it's not opening for some reason the other way, but I was going to try to take you this way. This is the library that I have put together. So here they are, learning rooms. So there's 3 rooms that I made. One is left brain, right brain. So just kind of teaching about the tendencies of the left brain learners versus right brain learners, and some strategies if you find that you exhibit qualities of one or the other. A learning styles room where students can explore visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic types of learning. And there's assessments for each of these rooms, so students can do the assessment and then learn.
Do you have any of these rooms?
Here we go.
Oh, cool. We're going to get to
It's
see
working
it.
now. It's working now.
Yay!
And this one is the multiple intelligences room. So it's Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. Oh, hopefully it'll open up. There are 8 different I believe it was 8 or 9. Now I'm losing my thoughts. Different intelligences that he points out. And so there's an assessment in this room that students can take to see which area they might have more of a strength in.
Oh, that's great.
I hate that it won't make it big, but I want you to see it. So if it'll just get loaded here, you'll see the room. If you go
to that present, next to the share, the little present button, wouldn't that make it?
For some reason, when I open the present, it doesn't want to load.
Oh, you are on the present. Okay.
Yeah. It's just super slow. I don't know. It's throwing a fit.
All right. So maybe we'll just see it in the, PowerPoint mode, which is a shame because I would really love to see this up close.
You know what? I have it all saved on my computer. So let's see if this can be another way.
Cool.
That way we don't have to mess with Google right now. There we go. I'll wait and see if it opens.
Oh.
So this is the learning strengths, multiple intelligences. This is a little bit different of a version. I updated it in Google, so this isn't the very newest. I took out these over here and I put a GIF for learning strengths just to make it a little more fun. But basically, each of these items over here on the bookshelf links to one of the intelligences that students can click and learn about. So if I click on the first one, visual spatial intelligence, you can learn the characteristics of this type of a learner who has this kind of a strength, some activities that this type of a learner might prefer, possible careers if you're geared more towards this way, and then some people who strongly displayed this intelligence that they would know. And then there's a home button. So and it's not working in PowerPoint, but it works in Google. You can go back
that's the mathematical.
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, logical. Well, darn, the links aren't working in PowerPoint, but they do work in Google Slide, I promise. So I'll just go through each of these linguistic.
Yeah, if you don't mind telling what object did you link to each of them, like the linguistic verbal intelligence, which object did you choose? I'm curious.
Okay, so yeah, the visual spatial was the computer with the different visual graphics. Linguistic verbal, it's not working right, but it's the notebook.
Mm-hmm.
The notebook right here. Let's see if, no, none of them are working. So the logical mathematical are the chess pieces. I'll try to remember it off the top of my head. Auditory is the music boombox player, I guess. These little characters, which is so fun. I love it's Big Bang Theory characters, if anyone knows that show. But this is the interpersonal. So people who like to learn in a group or socializing. The mirror down below that is intrapersonal. So people who tend to enjoy working more on their own. The plant represents naturalist, I think is the term, but people who enjoy learning through nature, outdoors, animals, different things like that. And the ball is the more kinesthetic, learning through sports, learning through hands-on, building things, that type of a thing. So each of these rooms has a video as well on the television. And if you were to click that, it would take you to just a video that kind of gives an overview of the topic. So,
wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I mean, really. It's like I'm in awe. I mean, this is really, I mean, you went above and beyond with this and amazing things. And
Thanks. I really just try to bring it back to that engagement factor and what would be engaging, because last year we did the same type of thing with the learning style assessments and things like that, and students were just kind of blah, like they've done those type of things before. It wasn't as fun, so I'm hoping this will make it more fun. And then I have one more thing, if you have time. I just posted it today. So I started making I'm calling them fun rooms, Fun Friday rooms. And these rooms are just meant to be engaging. So I usually have one day a week where we do more of a work time. It's not really like a full lesson of new content. It's just doing work. So there's not really a classroom that goes along with that, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to post something fun to get students engaged from the get-go, maybe get a little bit of a discussion started before we move into, that work time. So I have a lot of different themes in mind, but I went full screen. It might just take a second. This one that I'm showing you now that I finished today are TV shows. So I chose 4. They happen to be my favorite TV shows. Looks like
which are
Friends, because that's classic. The Office, The Big Bang Theory, and One Tree Hill, which might be a lesser favorite at one, but it takes me back to my personal high school days, so I had to throw it in there. No fancy links here, but I did include just a little prompt with like a little meme, and I ask students to caption it. So if you're in Zoom or a program like that, there is an annotation tool where students can write on the board. So I kind of have a template or like an interface that I use. And there is a space, which I can show you that. I finished that as well. There's a space where students can respond to a prompt on the board, or they can write in the chat. So if it'll, I don't think it's going to go, it's going to be slow again. I was going to take you through the rooms. But right now, just the 4. And I have some other ones that I'll be working on just for fun.
Wow.
So
This has so many possibilities. I heard of people that are doing escape rooms
yeah.
virtually, and what other ideas have you heard? I mean, there are so many ideas that these classrooms can be, taken to, like the field trip, the virtual field trip, which is a little bit like the one you just showed us on the beginning slides. There's so many possibilities that it's almost like learning to teach all over again with a whole new way. So
It's true. And again, it just really goes back to, your only limit is your own creativity. So you can do it however you want, make it however you want. It can even just be a fun way, if you're really passionate about the TV show Friends, and that's something that you want to incorporate in your classroom, that helps students get to know you better. And it starts that foundation for your classroom community and building relationships and, discussion starters. And okay, well, what's your favorite show? Why do you like that show? And it's just that engaging component, I think. So at the very basic, that it can be that.
And I think it's so important because through this virtual, one thing that is, kind of lacking in a sense is that social emotional connection that especially little kids had with their friends. And I'm sure, high school kids had, it's like they're very into their friends and all this had taken away from, for lack of a better word, is taken away from their social life. And to be able to know somebody and talk about these social things and what you like, I think now became more important than before. Before, if they were coming into a lot of other topics, we tried to bring them more into the academic. But right now, I feel that it is a good time to get into some social because of the lack of the, face-to-face social things.
Absolutely. And on that note, I'll show you this really quick. It's another resource. I didn't share it in the group, but it's in my library of resources. It's not something that I've done yet, but I'm really excited to try this year. And it's an activity for values-based classroom. So the way it works, there are 50 different values. So this would be good. It could be upper elementary all the way through high school. And basically the first step is for students to sort these values, which I'm in present mode, so I can't move it. But if I exit present mode, I can actually sort the values, either very important to me, not important to me. So that was just an example of me moving one of them. So you would go through, sort all of these. You would narrow your very important to me category to just 10 of them, no more than 10. And then you would actually discuss the values that you put in that category with a small group. So you might have a couple other members of your class and you would come together, talk about, well, why did you put acceptance as something that's very important to you? And then together as a group, you would agree on 5 values that you think are the most important. All of the small groups bring that together to the whole group, and then you generate a list of 5 ultimate values for the class, and that's your foundation for your class community. You can set your rules and expectations from those 5 values that, as a class, you determine were the most important. So it's just a little bit of that social component, getting them to discuss, getting them to think critically about, why things are important to them, why should it be important for others to follow this value, and also learn to give a little, because you can't have all of the values that you choose. You have to learn how to get along with others and compromise on things.
The compromise.
So I'm excited to try this. I think there's a lot of potential with this. I'm excited to see where it goes. So just
Wow,
another idea.
this is amazing and unbelievable. It's a lot more ideas than I even thought possible. And wow, I'm so happy that you came to share. And I was wondering, like, do you ever put your things on Teachers Pay Teachers? And for people that are not familiar, Teachers Pay Teachers is a site where teachers post things for sale, and then people buy their how would I say, like, their files or their PDFs or
Resources.
whatever. Resources, yes, that's the word. And I was wondering if you ever post on there, because you should if you haven't, because this is really good. And I'm sure, because not everybody has, first of all, the creativity, second of all, the technical ways of doing all this. I can see for you comes really easy, but a lot of people probably, like me, would have, it would take months to come up with things like this. So I'm sure it would help a lot of people, um, you know, if you
Yeah.
made it available somewhere like that, where people pay a nominal fee or something, and then they get to own some of these pieces, and they can perhaps change it or whatever. But it's just an idea. I'm not sure if you do that or.
Yeah, so I've been playing with kind of creating resources and techie stuff for a while now. I do have a Teachers Pay Teachers, and right now the primary item that I have there is a teacher portfolio, a complete guide for that. That's my biggest seller. That's the thing that I spent a lot of time creating different options for teachers, creating a full e-guide on how to put that together. Now, for the moment, the things that I'm creating, I'm just sharing freely. Just because we're all in kind of a position where it's a struggle. So I really want to share the knowledge that I have with others, so that they can use them. I'm sure I'll go back to posting more, substantial resources on my Teachers Pay Teachers at a later time. But for now, I don't know if it's okay if I pull up my
Sure,
website.
sure,
Um,
please, of
so
course.
my blog is called Teach the World, and I have a website, goteachtheworld.com. And that's where I post a lot of my new ideas on the blog. I'm trying to gear it more toward virtual learning right now. It started out just how to teach 21st century themes and ideas in the classroom. And I still want to do that, but I also am incorporating more of the virtual component, since that's something that so many teachers are struggling with right now. It's going a little slow, but if you go to the website, you can find a link to the digital classroom library. And that's where I post everything that I create that teachers can make
And
a copy of.
And Lauren, if you don't mind, on the description of this video, if you don't mind, if you like to put the link for your Teachers Pay Teachers, or the link for your blog, or any link that you like to share with us, and that is okay with you, and you like to share,
Absolutely.
then I can put it in the descriptions, and people can go and visit and see the things that you're doing.
Absolutely. I would love to
You
do
know,
that.
will be great.
Yeah, for sure. I'll post a link to this website, and this is just the page where you can find the digital library. So I'm hoping to add to that. I'm getting new ideas on the daily, all day long. That's why I haven't finished completely any of my themes, because I just keep adding different things. But I think it's fun to do it like that. So I'm happy to share all of that.
So again, this free digital resource library, you're showing us that's where you go to get some of the resources. Is that what
Yeah.
we're looking?
So this is the page where you would sign up for it. So it's just your name and your email, and then it opens up. It's all in Google Drive. So it'll prompt you to make a copy or to view the library, and then everything is in Google. So it's really easy for you to make a copy, save it to your own drive. You don't have to download anything unless you want to. And then you can in turn share it with your students. And this is what it kind of looks like, that document that I had earlier, where I'm just adding, it'll come up here in just a second. I'm just adding slides as I create things. The list of slides, it links directly to the item or the resource that students can make a copy. Yeah, so here it is. Or not students, I'm sorry, teachers can make a copy. So they're all organized. The around the world classrooms, the virtual fun classrooms that I showed, the explore rooms, Harry Potter, learning, additional teaching resources. It's a little bit of a lag, but you'll see it here in a minute. Anything that you can use kind of as activities within your classroom, I've got that. Yeah, on this.
And this is what you have on your Teachers Pay Teachers, or this is a resource that we can access for free? I just trying to clarify.
This is all free. This is all free.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love adding to it.
I mean, I don't know what to say. You know, when people share like this and they just give it to you after they work for 10 billion hours, I just, you know, in the minute I'm going to start crying because this is like, because, you know, this is a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love doing it. I mean, it's things that I want to use with my own students. So why not share, you know, why not? So it's fun.
This is amazing. Oh my gosh. This is so amazing. And I thank you so much. Anything else on this, or else I'm going to take the...
No, that's pretty much all. Yeah.
Because I want to see you. This is so amazing. I mean, really. You know what I mean? Again, you know what I mean? You probably spent your whole vacation. You know, and I know, you know, you have a life, believe it or not, right? You have a family. You're in Rio. You know, there's lots of places to go. See, and you're that, you know, creating classrooms, and now you're like, you know, hey, you know, you want to have it for free? I'll give it to you. It's just amazing. It really is. And it's funny because I was always proud to be a teacher, but through these things that we've been going through, it just, and especially this vacation where I see people working nonstop. I've never had a vacation, and perhaps because I was traveling myself, I wasn't paying attention, but teachers work throughout this whole time. Every moment on Facebook, on all the social medias, people are posting, people are creating, people are talking about it, people are stressing about it, and it's the whole time. And nobody's getting paid for it, and nobody, you know, we just do it. We just do it. And I mean, I don't know. I'm more proud to be a teacher now than I was ever in my career. And I've done this for 20 years. It's just unbelievable. And now I met somebody like you that just, you know, makes all this stuff ready to give it out. And plus the dedication to your students. You know what I mean? When the students come, you're ready, you're prepared, you're trying to make this fun, because this is not easy for anybody, but, you know, I mean, I would love to be a student in your class, going through all this, and I might be going into some of that just myself, to go into those tours, virtual tours, and all the beautiful stuff that you put together. This is, I mean, it's beyond words. I don't even know what to say. So, I mean, the only thing I can say is thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm, you know, I'm sure whoever is watching this is also thankful. And if people have any questions, if they want to put in the comments of this video, I'm sure I'll reach out to you again and say, hey, you know, people want to know this.
Absolutely. And if anybody has a request, like things that you really find that you need and you're struggling with, and I'm happy, you know, share that with me. Actually, when you sign up for the library, you get an email from me. And that's one of the things that I ask is, what are you struggling with? What do you need in order to do better? And so I want to hear from you and about that. So please reach out to me, let me know what you need, and I can, you know, try and come up with a way to make it work. I love it. I love it. It's a passion of mine. So I'm happy.
Yeah, we can totally see that teaching is a passion, and now this other thing became the second passion with it, and we can totally see that throughout all the things you just showed us. And so anytime, if you make more classrooms, if you make more ideas, if you like to come again and show us again, I would be so honored to have you here. And I mean, I don't know. Then I mean, I hope I meet you someday when I go to
Absolutely.
visit my sister,
Please.
or whoever in LA. One day when we can travel again, I would love to meet you and give you, that hug. And it's just amazing. And, wow, it just inspired me so much today. And thank you so, so much. I
Thank you for
really
having
appreciate
me.
it. This was
I hope
amazing.
I hope it inspires others too, because teacher community unite.
Teacher
We're stronger
community,
together.
that is so, so true. And with that, I'm going to end the broadcast with you. We're gonna say bye to all our fellow teachers
Ciao.
and everybody. Ciao, ciao. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.